It's all about the backrooms and what exactly async is and what they're trying to do. So I'm going to take a little bit about the series and talk a little bit about what the movie has showcased, and also talk about if Phil is actually Philip R. Heyman, who discovered the backrooms and the whole lore. But let's talk about the backrooms. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. 50,000 subscribers is our goal. We are 5,000 away from that almost. So very excited to get to that. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or Letterboxd, wherever you want. You can check it out here and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And we are going to talk more about what exactly this movie sets up for future installments of Backrooms. So Async is a company that, of course, as you heard in the film, was doing MRI machines, and now they're not. They are focused on backrooms and finding out what exactly they are, how vast they can be, and what can they use them for. And Async already has a plan of what to use them for. But first, how did they find backrooms? In the lore of the backrooms, they had a low proximity magnetic distortion system which caused them to be able to find a way into the backrooms, and they ultimately experimented more with trying to open a bigger pathway to enter these backrooms. This was led by Philip R. Heyman, and I was wondering watching the movie if Phil is the same Philip R. Heyman here in the lore. It's not really said to be him. I believe that with somebody played by Mark Duplass that we'll probably see a bit more, that this man is indeed going to be Philip R. Heyman. Him and Ivan Beck, which was not introduced in the film, which I thought was going to be introduced, and at some point I even theorized that's who Mark Duplass was playing, because the vice president of Async are trying to dive deeper into the backrooms to try and figure them out as much as possible. The sole reason to do this is because real estate, man. They want to get a ton of money. They want to make it and sell it and profit off of it. Their investors are here and they need that. They need it. Whether that's selling it as a storage system, a warehouse facility, office space, even at some point residential area. Yeah, you can live in the backrooms if you want, according to Async, right? And Async's been doing these tests now to try and figure out what exactly is lurking out here. We saw it in the film that they set up these like booby traps of sorts to try and capture these creatures to see what happens in the backrooms, because they don't want to make all of these people move in here and get the money and then ultimately they just get copied or killed by whatever's in here. So they gotta like clear it out a little bit, right? And this is a money maker for them, because this is a ton of space that is that nobody has touched, and I mean they want to sell it, and that's what they want to do. And so that's why I think Async will stop at nothing to make sure that this happens. And I don't feel very confident that Dr. Marie is going to make it out alive, because she knows a bit too much. They are also studying the life form here, which is the still life of Clark as the pirate or the copy. Not too sure if this is still life or not. Many people are still debating that. You let me know what you think. But they're studying it because they want to figure out what these things are. We already saw that Clark was able to eat them at some point, and they had like this white filling of sorts, which was interesting because the still life of Clark as the pirate was sort of bleeding, and we see it has like a skull and all of this. So we don't know exactly what they are just yet, and that's what Async is trying to figure out. Now Async is here, of course, to try and figure out where these null zones are coming from, because the null zones are these zones where Clark and Dr. Marie and Bobby and Kat were able to go through to make it into the backrooms. These are zones that just happened. Maybe it was after the earthquake that happened with Async, and maybe they made a whole mess with the doorways. They were trying to make one, but maybe they made multiple ones. You know, that's a thing that could have happened here. And the backrooms were never meant to be found. It was just a big mistake, and they were always going to be hidden, right? Maybe it was just another dimension of sorts that existed, but we were never meant to see. And now whatever made it in here is trying to come to life together, right? There's been theories that it's bacteria that is replicated, and that the distortion and maybe the magnetic waves that are happening in the backrooms cause it to turn into whatever it is. And it's kind of terrifying when you think about it, that it's using whatever it sees sort of like a mirror and a reflection, but a pretty bad one. And who knows what's going to come out of that. But Async doesn't care right now. What they care is that they are going to go in there and they are going to make the office space. They are going to make the warehouse. They are going to make the storage facility. They are going to make the residential homes. This is explored in Kane's short about the information about Async. They say they can make a ton of money out of this. The space is unlimited and they can offer as much and sell as much. So there is a ton of money to be made here according to Async. And so that's basically what this company is doing. There might be a more ulterior ulterior motive behind it all, and it's sort of disguised as just a corporation trying to be greedy and sell space. Maybe they're trying to create something down here. Who knows? It hasn't gotten that deep, I believe, in the lore, but what they are trying to do first and foremost is sell the space and get people to start buying it, eventually moving their companies in here and themselves to live. So it's taken that next step in the way that capitalism is, that it wants you to be in a hunker down position. But I think at some point we probably will see Ivan Beck. It's a very important role for sure, because Ivan Beck is the main one that is trying to push for all of this to happen. It seems that the character that Mark is playing here, whether it's Phil or maybe Philip R. Heyman, is a character that is really driven to find out more about the Backrooms. Like, maybe there is a scientific intrigue here more than just a corporation or a more sinister plan from Mr. Phil here. Maybe he is just intrigued about the Backrooms. It seems like it that way, the way he talks to Marie, and is very fascinated by it as well. He does spend his time looking through the cameras. He was able to spot Clark at some point and trying to figure out where that null zone was. And once he found out it was in the furniture shop, he knew that that's a way to get that closed down now, because they don't want people just coming in here and getting eaten or coming out and knowing what the Backrooms are, because Async is a bottom line company and they're just trying to make a profit. And if word gets out that there is a secret tunnel or a secret passageway to make it into this unlimited space of like space, it's not going to go good for Async, because they are trying to get a hold of it before anybody else does. But first they have to go in there, they have to clear everything out, they have to map it out, they have to trace it out, just as Clark was doing. And I think they're going to use what Clark got and eventually use those notes to see what else they can do down here. But this started back in 1982 after the first time they used the distortion system. Eventually Async got involved around 88, 89, and now it is 1990, and Async is full speed ahead with trying to get their plan of using the Backrooms for profit, or maybe their more ulterior motive, which we'll probably find out in a sequel or in another video series that Kane does. But let me know what you think about Async, and that's pretty much all we know so far about the company. We could go a little bit deeper. There are some information videos if you want to find out or get it more visual. I try to use some of them throughout here, but I don't want to get that copyright strike, so I use a very limited amount of stuff as well. But let me know your thoughts, your opinions on Async as well as the Backrooms movie. I did make a video talking about Miss Marie Klein, her ending. That's not such a great ending. I'll also do a video on Clark and talk a little bit more about him, because I thought he was a fascinating character that didn't get as much time to really get to know him as much, right? I think the same with all the characters here. Would have loved to see more of Phil as well, but what can you do with 2-hour runtime as well? Maybe a TV show in the future. We shall see. But I think Async is up to an ulterior motive. You let me know what you think. It could be in the comments down below. I'll talk about it in my theories for Backrooms 2, which will come out on Monday. And stay tuned for that by hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you know when that video drops. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. As always, that's going to do it for me. I'll see all of you next time. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on Async. What do you think about their master plan of trying to use the Backrooms as sort of real estate and sell it to people for the warehouse facilities, for storage facilities, for office space, residential areas? Who the hell wants to live in here, right? Let me know what you think about that. Well, Clark did, but you know, that's a whole other story. That's for the Clark video. Stay tuned for that. But let me know what you think about Async's motives here. Do you think there's an ulterior motive, or are they just a power-hungry, greedy company that's just trying to please the shareholders? Comment below and let me know. As always, that's going to do it. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.